Round one. Fight.
Heroes never die.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Power, sex, power. They both come down to one thing.
Hungry gamers.
Hello, and welcome everyone to the 319th episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast. We are powered by 8bit.net and those sexy audio-based legends over at Audio-Technica. Go upgrade your audio game today at audiotechnica.com. I am your extremely humble host, Brendan White. You can find me just about everywhere at Brendan8bit. And joining me, as is tradition, my podcast, Ride or Die, the cream to my strawberries. You can find her on them socials at Miss Ali Hart. Miss Ali Hart, how the bloody hell are you?
Doing well. How are you? How are you feeling?
I am doing a lot better. My sleeping habits are still very poor due to the ongoing ripple effect of COVID. But yeah, the energy levels, they're not quite like low flashing battery alert. Like I'm not at the 20% change on the iPhone when it switches to red. I'm above that now, but I still reckon I'm sitting at like 50% or so on average. Like the energy levels are shot. Like I had a lunch meeting yesterday, and yes, in typical fashion, I overate and gorged myself. But afterwards, I nearly fell asleep driving like to the next meeting in the car. Like I was so tired and so fatigued going from there to there, and then I eventually finished that meeting, got home, went to have a cheeky lie down. I'm like, I reckon I could sneak a quick 20 to 30. And about 2 minutes into that, I was just falling asleep, and then my phone rang and I couldn't get back to sleep, and I'm still upset today.
Yeah, like the after effects and tiredness is just no joke. This kind of just hangs around for like the longest time. It sucks.
It really does, and I didn't do myself any favors. We went to this place for a burger yesterday called Baldwin Canteen. Shout out to those dudes and dudettes working there. But like 2 doors down, just by coincidence, there's a new One Piece themed cafe that's opened up in Melbourne here in the last couple of months called One Plus Piece. And so we popped in after that, but I was too full to eat anything off their menu. But instead they had these milkshakes, which they were calling freak shakes, and I'm like, oh, okay, let's dance. So in sort of homage to Pulp Fiction, I paid $17 for a shake because I wanted to know what a $17 shake tasted like, and it tasted pretty good. But I think I'm diabetic now, and I'm still digesting it at the moment.
Yeah, I did see a photo of this marvelous dessert beverage. It was pretty crazy. I'm not usually a fan of these extravagant milkshakes that came quite popular in Australia, Sydney, in the cafe scene, of these just massive decorations on top of a milkshake, I think it was just a milkshake. And to me, it was just like, that's just too much. Where do you put it all?
I tried to put it all in my stomach. I could not, because this thing was a monstrosity. Like, I didn't have a ruler handy because why would I?
Why would you?
It stood, I reckon, about 30 centimeters tall, and it was peanut butter and salted caramel flavor. But then there was like an exuberant amount of ice cream in there. There was a crazy amount of fairy floss on the top. There was M&M eggs on there. There was a couple of ice Vovos stuck to the side. There was wafer biscuits. There was Tim Tams. There was, is it jam drops? Remember the biscuit? It was sort of like a shortbread biscuit with like jam in the middle, and that was it. Really simple.
I thought they were called tarts. Like they were called something like
a
strawberry
jam
tarts.
tart, maybe?
Yeah, jam tarts or something like that.
Haven't seen them in any capacity in like a decade, and there was a couple of them stuck to the shake as well. So I was sort of working my way through the bickies, sipping my way through the milk. I finished the milkshake, left a few biscuits, and I left like most of the fairy floss because I didn't have time for that. But holy shit, this thing knocked me into next week. It was tasty, and One Plus Piece Cafe, it's a good vibe, and the burgers look legit, so I'm going to go back. But yeah, it was just a little spur of the moment trip there after going to another place 2 doors down.
Incredible.
I haven't eaten since then. I didn't eat dinner last night. I haven't had breakfast this morning because I just have no appetite. I'm just full of milk and
Just running off sugar.
because the burger I had at this other place, the easiest way to describe the taste of it, because it had a heap of different meats, and then I added some things as I like to do. It tasted like a generic, like, meat lovers pizza, whether you get it from a cafe or like a Domino's. It had that flavor profile to it, which was fine. It was delicious, but I'm still so full.
Man, like, to be running on those, like, because you would have, like, so that sounded like one of those, like, hearty meals where you eat and then you're instantly tired. But then you proceeded to consume something that would have had just a high scale of sugar, where you usually actually reach a high first and then come crashing down. So your system must be shot. We're not young anymore, Brendan.
No,
we can't be doing these things.
I am dumb, Ali. I am very dumb at doing these things, and I do them more often than I care to admit. But it was delicious. I would recommend both the Baldwin Canteen and one Plus Piece here in Melbourne. Very delicious, tasty treats. But just bear in mind, you might not have an appetite or the energy for 24 to 48 hours afterwards, because there is not enough coffee in the world to see me through this Saturday. But yeah, we're here. Episode 319 of THG. We got plenty, well, not plenty. We got an assortment of news. It's been a bit of a lean week as far as things that we sort of cherry picked to talk about. But I guess we could start things off with what we've been doing. I'm just going to quickly skim over the top of what I've been playing. Haven't been playing a ton of variety. I jumped into Fortnite Chapter 4 Season 2, or Fortnite Season 4 Chapter 2. I always forget which way it's written. It's that, right?
I think it's season and then chapter.
Yeah, Season 4, Chapter 2 that we mentioned last week that was sort of just released around the globe. Super fun, super frantic. The blades and traversing the map with the blades is a whole thing. The Japanese-inspired sort of neon city that's dropped in is awesome. Some of the location changes, great. Some of the weapons they've added, slashed, or removed. I've got a few little bugbears on. I'm missing some of the guns that are missing, but overall, it's been enjoyable. I've been having a good time. I've only got like one win all week. I cannot get crowns to save my life, but it's been a hell of a time.
Yeah, it's pretty sweaty out there, and I've got to say that I love the sword. Like, after watching like a bunch of professionals use it and seeing its full capabilities, I have destroyed some teams, like running duos and just coming in like a freaking grease lightning and just slicing up a team. It is pretty... I feel like this is going to be one of the ones that maybe gets a little bit nerfed, just because it's just ridiculous. The damage it can do and then the traversal that it can do. So, especially before any kind of competition starts up again. I'm actually not aware if there's been any comps going at the moment, so but yeah, it's pretty cool. And the city change with all the neon lights and like
those crazy grind rails in the city as well,
so cool, like so fun. Hard to navigate sometimes, but still pretty fun. I don't know who was landing shots while using it, but either way, it's a fun addition. So I am pretty impressed with like what the team add to Fortnite, just to keep it fresh and interesting, and just they keep on always just pushing the bar and keep on leveling up and keeping things. There's apparently a new creative mode that will be coming in soon too. So
yeah, which is nuts. And we get Eren Yeager popping up in a couple of weeks' time as well. So we're going to have even more crazy traversal with their little what are they called? Rope swing, like gas-powered rope mechanisms. That's going to be the new way to traverse. That'll be like the Spider-Man glove. I
am still pretty mad that the alternative skin isn't his Titan form. So, spoil?
Yes. Yeah. We'll see. But it's fun. It's awesome. Yeah, the blade as a means of traversal, I use that just to get around. I don't use it too often in battle, but to zip around the map quickly, whether it be close a gap to try and pinch somebody or to open a gap up because you get shot in the butt. It's a great thing to have in your arsenal there, but it's super fun. Really enjoying it. You know, Epic are just releasing content at such a high quality. It's always fun, and just the subtle tweaks that they make to the game formula to keep it feeling fresh is awesome. I also went out last weekend and watched 65, the film starring Adam Driver. And it's actually co-produced by Sam Raimi. So with those two people involved, and then it tying into like science fiction and space with dinosaurs, I'm like, this could be this could be something that I could really enjoy. But boy, how wrong I was. It is not a great film. The story's a mess. The sort of force feeding into this like surrogate father-daughter relationship he's got with one of these passengers, because he's like could say he's like a space pilot courier, and he's like transferring these people that are in stasis across the galaxy to whatever. It doesn't really explain why he's taking them there. But yeah, then they crash land on this planet. This planet is, inhabited by dinosaurs and various other prehistoric like creatures, which you don't even see a ton of. You don't get there's not enough dinosaurs in this movie for one. And then like shoehorning in this like forced father-daughter relationship with one of like the only other surviving crew member of this transport mission. And conveniently, she can't speak English, so they can't communicate, so there's this awkward cuteness that they try and put into it as well. Like, the tone is just, whoa. But yeah, the movie was not a good time. I would not recommend someone spending money to go check it out at the cinemas, that's for sure.
Oh, that's a shame. It looked like it had some potential.
Yeah. Yeah, the best parts of it's in the trailer, I think, which makes me sad. But something else that makes me sad, but also very happy, the finale of Season 1 of The Last of Us aired this past week as well. And holy guacamole, I am still very numb and still very emotionally distraught after watching those 9 episodes over the past couple of months. But yeah, HBO have hit a home run on this one. Obviously, we're seeing the numbers where it's outperforming things like the most recent House of the Dragon series as far as, average viewership. People are thirsting for The Last of Us, which is very, very, very well deserved because, yeah, Druckmann and Mason, who, wrote and directed, produced and everything else, had a lot of things to do with this adaptation, have hit it out of the park. And I can't wait for more of this to hit our screens in the next 2 years. We might get season 2, but yeah, it is special. Anyone that hasn't watched it, I know you mentioned you're a couple episodes back.
Yes. You
need to give it some time and check it out because yeah, this is special. This show is very special. Recency bias aside, I think it's going to go down as one of the greats.
Yeah, it definitely seems to have achieved favor in both the gaming space and then those that weren't familiar. A lot of people have really enjoyed it. I'm curious to see how well it does during award season. It'd be pretty spectacular to see, especially for the team that worked on the game and having that connection to now say obviously getting the accolades with the game and getting awards in that way, and then now getting awards through a different media of the same story. That would just have to be incredible.
Yeah, it'll be awesome to see if we manage to get a game that does have such a big successful run. Like we just saw Everything Everywhere All at Once just dominate award season everywhere. Yeah. For a film that is very un-Hollywood, I guess you could say, as far as the typical movies that take home those honors. So maybe this will ride that momentum and, sweep the sort of TV-based awards like what we've seen with Everything Everywhere All at Once, taking home award after award at every ceremony it's rolled into the last 12 months. But yeah, if it does win a lot of awards, I think it's more than justified. It feels like more than, I'm not just looking at this with rose-colored glasses here because I love the game so much. I think this TV show is very special. And even talking to people that haven't played the game, whether it be, people our age or, friends, in our friendship circle that haven't played it that have loved it, or even talking to my mum or my auntie randomly messaged me the other day and was talking about how great it is. And they're not gamers, but they just love this story and these characters. So, yeah, they've hit the sweet spot as far as converting this to screen. And yeah, I'm looking forward to more in the coming years.
Yeah, even I have recommended it to people just that are not familiar with the game or anything like that, and just said, no, it is clearly a fantastic story and it's definitely well made. So just recommending it on that basis alone just seems fair enough. For sure. And what have you been doing this past week, Miss Hart? Well, I finally played Destiny 2 Nightfall. Able to grab a few people together and complete the campaign and work on it together in that kind of avenue. But I have to agree with the general consensus of a lot of people out there that have experienced the Nightfall campaign and say that it was very lackluster. I think this only comes off the having such a fantastic campaign out of the Witch Queen, and then being the follow-up to that, you obviously had to really reach a high standard to keep that momentum going, and unfortunately Nightfall just really falls short of it.
That makes me sad.
Yeah, it is, and especially also in the sense that I also agree with a lot of people where we are taken to a new planet, which is Neptune, and we've been given this space. We're in this city called Neomuna, and it it's kind of like synthwave, retrowave, like they've got this wonderful kind of like vibe to it, but for the most part, it feels empty. Like, it feels very empty and barren. And I understand there's some things in the campaign that kind of links to that. But even so, even with other areas in Destiny, they still make the environment feel lived in. It feels like, it feels like very like present and has like, but yeah, it feels weird. It's a very weird space. And they bring in these wonderful characters, these almost like these new characters into the Destiny universe that are just amazing. They're like, they just come across as like gods, and even they kind of fall short. Like, I'm sure there's probably a lot of hidden lore, like Destiny and the team of Bungie like to sometimes not like hit you with all the lore. Sometimes they're like, hey, if you want to look for it, you can find it out there. But even so, there wasn't a lot to kind of compel you to investigate. So yeah, it's unfortunate. In gaming mechanics, I actually enjoyed it. The new strand mechanic was a lot of fun, even though I feel it was kind of weird how they incorporated it into the story. It wasn't like you like instantly unlocked it and it was accessible. They kind of let you have it in parts, which felt very jolting and didn't feel like you were getting to experience it to its full extent. So yeah, overall, it was enjoyable. But yeah, after such a high as Witch Queen, it definitely felt like a low in comparison. So, but yeah, experiencing it now and then just doing all the other stuff attached and checking out new gear and stuff, it's good. But yeah, I just think if anyone that did play Witch Queen, to drop your standards if you're thinking about dropping into the campaign this time.
Yeah, I can certainly lower my standards, that's for sure. So I will keep that in mind when I jump into Nightfall, because yeah, like Witch Queen, it's very recent for me. I only played it maybe, 4 to 6 weeks ago, give or take. So it's still very fresh in my mind. So I need to try and hit reset before I jump into Nightfall. But yeah, I'll get there. I'm looking forward to seeing how it translates, because yeah, from an aesthetic standpoint, from what I've seen from gameplay and trailers and stuff, it looks phenomenal and right up my alley. But yeah, if the narrative's a bit lacking, which it's going to be a bit disappointing, but it's okay. Destiny hasn't always been a home run hitter when it comes to direct storytelling anyway. Apart from like recently, like Witch Queen was great. Like, it was a bit more direct and we got a lot more backstory and character development, which felt very un-Destiny for me, I guess, at least.
Yeah, it definitely diverted from the standard of like, here's a bit of story, there's more to it, but you've got to look for it. I agree. Witch Queen was very much like, here it is, feel it, experience it, and understand why and how it connects to everything else.
Yeah, so it's a shame that it looks like Nightfall's not hitting those high highs there, but still looking forward to giving it a play here. But we also got some very, very, very sad news that broke this morning as well. Everyone's favorite sort of leader of the Titans, Lance Reddick, aka Zavala, he has passed away unexpectedly at age 60 this morning, which is horrible, and we send our thoughts and our love out to anyone in the broader Reddick family. He's a stalwart of pop culture, and he's a pillar of so many franchises that you and I absolutely love, and for him to pass overnight where no one knew that he was potentially battling anything, or we don't know the full issues as to what happened that caused his tragic passing. But yeah, gone at 60 after being front and center in so many franchises, in games, in film, and in TV that we and everyone else adore. over the last, couple of decades is a big shock.
Absolutely crushing news. Honestly, couldn't believe what I was reading just browsing through Twitter, and just seeing that. And then there's that little moments of like disbelief that kind of happen. And when it was confirmed, I was just absolutely crushed. Like, he is an incredible actor and he always has such a presence, whether he is like leading a scene or even just supporting the cast around him. He was so incredibly talented, as well as, being able to curve the line between comedy and seriousness, and just absolutely a voice that can be recognized. He's been in so many bits of media that I've enjoyed very recently. And then obviously this attachment to one of my favorite games of all time is it's incredibly sad, and it's definitely it's going to be felt, and he's going to be definitely missed.
Yeah, definitely. And he seems like, obviously we don't know him from a personal standpoint, but from everything we've seen online and on social media, and even just his portrayals of such big characters, he's left a big hole there, and a massive lasting impression that's nothing but positive. Like, he's graced Resident Evil, Horizon Zero Dawn, Destiny. He was also in like things like Bosch you mentioned, and in The Blacklist and Fringe and Oz and The Wire and Lost, and so many other big franchises that mean a lot to so many people. And even like John Wick is another one we mentioned. Obviously we got Chapter 4 coming out just this week ahead as well.
Lance recently lent his voice to a very important character in the Critical Role franchise in the animated series.
Yeah, Thordak.
Yeah, so it's just like he just did incredible work, and he loved being a part of it all, and it seemed like everything that he attached himself to, he just loved and became one with. So it's really hard to find sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. So sending all the love to the broader Reddick family, and sort of pour one out tonight for one of the legends of the acting and pop culture space, because he's probably touched a lot of us indirectly through his work in a whole host of franchises, and 60 years young, that's sort of gone way too soon. So sending all the love out.
Yeah. I guess speaking of legends, the only other thing that I wanted to share was I actually watched a few episodes of History of the World Part 2. Which is a product of Mel Brooks. He years ago, I believe in like maybe 70s, I believe, I should have probably checked this. He did History of the World Part 1, and it was a collection of humorous retellings of moments in history with comedians and the funny people of the time. And it seems like now recently he has decided to work with a lot of legends in the comedy space today to develop History of the World Part 2. Now, Part 1 was a movie. Part 2 is a series. And names attached. We've got Nick Kroll, who is currently just absolutely smashing it in the comedy space, both in person and animated. We also have Wanda Sykes as well, and Ike Barinholtz. And there's a whole bunch of other names that are attached to this. They all do these little tiny skits about moments in history. And I've got to be completely honest, the first 2 episodes were hilarious. Like, I literally did an old woman cackle and slapped my husband. I laughed that hard. Like, it was so cliche, but that's how funny it was. And then we followed it up with episode 3. And that it completely fell flat, which is wild because Jack Black was also in it. But so I have yet to watch past episode 3 because it kind of like left me a bit kind of stunned on how you can go from hit to hit and then kind of completely miss on on a third episode. But I think for anyone that might be interested, definitely check out the first 2 episodes of History of the World Part 2. Over here, it is being streamed on Hulu. So I'm not too sure what the counterpart in Australia might be.
Be Disney Plus if it's
Disney
here
Plus?
in the AU. Yeah.
Yeah. So at least check out the first 2 episodes. There's a pretty funny skit with Nick Kroll and JB Smoove, where they do the portrayal of Jesus with Judas, but they do a Curb Your Enthusiasm kind of angle on it. So it's pretty funny. It's pretty creative. And so just like I said, check out the first 2 episodes and then don't maybe expect much on the third.
Yeah, I'm just looking into it now. So there's 8 episodes in this part 2. It's insane to me that he's still working at like 95, 96 years old.
Yeah.
Old Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
He's been around a good long while, and looking at sort of the broader cast here, it seems they've got like the entire cast of Jackass playing various characters in this season, from what I can see.
There is an incredible scene. Look at me laughing thinking about it. With some members of Jackass. I've completely forgotten his name. The lead guy of Jackass.
Johnny Knoxville.
Johnny Knoxville. He plays Rasputin. And there's just this scene, and like Wee Man is in the scene as well. And I'm not going to say anything. I want people to experience it, but like just to see that moment, I'm just like, who thought of this? Who thought of this? But it actually made me laugh really hard. So.
Yeah, I'll have to give it a look. Seth Rogen makes an appearance in this season somewhere as well. Like, so there's some big names attached to what they got going on here with part 2. Because I was looking at it. Part 1 was a film that was done in 1981.
Oh,
so
80.
This thing is rolling in like close to over 40 years later, which is crazy to think about. They've done a part 2, but. Yeah, to still be working and still have that comedic timing in your 90s, that's very admirable and very impressive. Like, I will be just a husk by that age, or just dust. But this guy's still making humorous content that's going to live on.
Yeah, well, Mel Brooks always kind of likes to flirt with the line of riskiness and comedy, so that still is very present in this series. So.
Okay, so I'll check it out. So Hulu for America and probably the broader world, and then Disney Plus for the rest of us. So it looks like it could be a fun time.
Yeah.
Something else that's a fun time, listeners, is our Ko-fi page, ko-fi.com/weare8bit. You can support us for the low price, starting from $1 per month. Get you exclusive access to content, giveaways, and more. If you want more than just what's on the Ko-fi, you can also do so by heading to shop8bit.net and get yourself some tasty, tasty merchandise with a whole host of designs on a whole host of fashionable styles. T-shirts, hats, hoodies, and everything else in between. If you want to check out 8-bit content as a whole, videogamesandculture.com for all things 8-bit. Be sure to check out our slew of podcasts. Be sure to follow and join our Discord, and also chuck us a follow on TikTok or all the other socials as well at We Are 8-bit, because we are starting to churn out a regular assortment of video-based content. It's only taken us several years, but we've got stuff dropping every week now. Better late than never, listeners. So at We Are 8-bit on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, etc., etc. But Miss Hart, I think it's time to jump into this.
This week's news headlines. Presented by Audio-Technica.
All right, the first little quick hitter, Raid Shadow Legends, everyone's favorite spammy advertisement mobile game that cannot be escaped, is getting a 10-episode animated series called Raid Call of the Arbiter, and it will be watchable every single week with a new episode dropping on YouTube starting from May the 18th. So I will say, I know nothing about Raid apart from just it's spamming me everywhere I seem to go. There's ads on every device that I seem to touch, and content creators all over the world are constantly doing paid activations, flogging this game on Twitch, YouTube, etc., etc. But the characters, and high fantasy, it's lazy comp just because it's fantasy and spellcasting stuff. It's mobile World of Warcraft in a way.
Yeah.
Probably not correct at all by using that description, but as far as the characters, you've got warriors, spellcasters, good and evil, etc. I'm going to give it a watch because I like fantasy. I like animated series. So maybe this could be okay, ? Like, they make enough money to build something of high standard and like of a high animation quality. Fingers crossed. So I'm intrigued.
I don't want to poo-poo like something that like I haven't even seen yet, but I'm gonna say that like I think it's pretty interesting that it is only going to be on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also wondering the quality of the animation, or, you know, like for the most part, like I don't want to say this where it makes it sound like it's going to sound bad no matter how I say it. Animation can like based on how technology has expanded, making animation is very accessible now. So it is definitely more accessible. It's obviously a lot more cheaper to do now. So I also question the quality on like, have they gone a very easy, affordable route to get these pushed out? And then I also wonder, are these just going to be like 20, 30-minute advertisements as well? Because like you said, the only reason why I know what this is because every YouTube that like I watched, where, you know, it was a Twitch streamer or YouTuber or something like that, they all did the raid Shadow Legends little ad bit at the start, and like even some of the YouTubers that I watched would also make fun of it. Like it became that common to kind of mention it. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the trailer right now, and they've gone the digital animation style, so it's not sort of hand drawn. It's digital. It doesn't look too bad from a visual perspective, but like I'm watching it muted because we're recording as we go. But I couldn't tell you what the Christ is going on here. There's just people fighting from all different races and parts of the world there. But it looked pretty. There's a 45-second trailer doing the rounds that was released a couple of days ago. Doesn't give much away. I don't know if there's any Raid Shadow Legends lore keepers out there that know the ins and outs as far as what happens in this universe. But yeah, I'll give it a look. And yeah, if they're 20 to 30 minute episodes that are going to drop every week for 10 weeks, cool. But maybe they are going to be only like a little 10-minute banger, something like that might collectively combine to the runtime of a movie. But yeah, we'll see. I'll reserve judgment until I watch an episode. But right now it just seems like you said, like it feels a bit more parodied than anything, where they're just like, let's just try and cash in more. You know, we're getting money every which way as it is. But let's see if we can sort of pull through and ride that momentum of things like Legend of Vox Machina and Arcane and stuff like that having recent success in that animated space.
Yeah.
Something that is the direct opposite of success is what Meta have just done this past week. They've laid off 10,000 employees this week, and that is after they already put the broom through Meta just this past November, where they also fired 11,000 people. So in the past 4 months, 21,000 people have been left without a job that were working at Meta. So holy shit, Zuckerberg and co, you know, we know he's ruthless. We know he does not muck around, but 21,000 layoffs within the span of 90 to 120 days is absurd, and we wish everyone the best. But man, the tech industry at the moment, they are just clearly hemorrhaging money and doing whatever they can to maintain profitability, which means the expense of, good stuff. Good jobs gone.
Yeah, it's actually been pretty shocking to see how much the tech industry has been hitting a decline. And a lot of people were speculating that it was due to a mass hiring due to COVID and COVID times, and then now that is over, they've speculated that that's why these firings are happening. But I wouldn't be so shocked to see that it's just more of, the tech industry having investors and investments, and these investments not paying out. So then they've had to just absolutely cull as much as they can to, I don't know, break a profit, break even, or, I'm not too attached to how like these kind of like finances go in the tech industry, but like there's a lot of risk, and especially in the tech scene, and just seeing these mass firings, especially with Meta, that is attached to such a, like, I don't even know, is Facebook still classified as a juggernaut? Like, is it?
I think so.
it's more of a thing where I've kind of detached myself from it, so I just don't know how much of a thing it is anymore. But yeah, like it's scary. It's a scary time, especially if you're trying to get into the space and you're seeing that you're now going to be also trying to compete with another 21,000.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like, it's such a competitive market, but then it's such a volatile market. Like, so many people are trying to make this their career and their life, and yet their job can be taken away in the blink of an eye because the investment's not there, or just these aggressive growth strategies that tech companies put in that are just not sustainable. Like, they might pop up and grow 50 or 100% year on year for a few years, but that's not sustainable long term. Like, you hit a peak, you hit the high, and you can't continue to grow at such an aggressive sort of timeline. But a lot of these higher ups just think, no, that's what we need every year. If you can't get it, we'll find someone that can. Otherwise, we'll just fire that and hide our profitability in other ways. So 21,000 people on the back of the talks we've had over the last couple of months with Microsoft and a whole host of other companies all scaling back and laying off employees en masse. It's really scary. So just be safe out there, and maybe be a little bit more calculated with your next potential move to try and find something a little bit more stable, because this industry is anything but that, it feels like.
Yeah, exactly.
Some good news, though, shifting gears again. Shuhei Yoshida will be awarded a BAFTA Fellowship at the BAFTA Game Awards on March the 30th. The fellowship recognizes Yoshida's work as, in quotes, a champion of independent developers, BAFTA said. Through his personal social media presence and his corporate endeavors, he has consistently nurtured the creativity and innovation of the indie games industry and regularly champions indie games through podcasts, official PlayStation videos, and the wider games media, end quote. The organization added Yoshida currently is head of Sony Interactive Entertainment's Independent Developer Initiative after spending his entire career as the platform holder in various roles since 1993. Among others, he was president of SIE Worldwide Studios from 2008 to 2019 before being replaced by Herman Hulst. So shout out to Shuhei. Doing great work. He's getting a bit up there in age, the fantastic gentleman, but yet he is on his social media accounts daily campaigning, showcasing, spotlighting, and giving runway to indie games that a lot of people might not have ever heard of without Shu getting involved and throwing a lifeline out or just paying it forward. And I've never met the man, but from what I can see through interviews and various podcasts he's done and just appearances, he seems like a genuinely good human, and he does genuinely good things for this industry and especially for the indie scene. So hat tip to you, good squire.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the more prominent members in the upper space of the gaming networks between Microsoft and Sony, but he still seems very it sounds really bad, but he still seems very accessible. He seems very open and honest about things. And yeah, just like what you said, a lot of his interactions online or on podcasts or just anything like that, he just seems like a really down-to-earth, genuine guy who loves what he does, loves video games. And as this story kind of tells, is that he is very passionate about indie games and he loves getting the word out there about it. So, an accolade from him would mean a lot for a little indie developer too. So, it's nice. I'm kind of surprised that this was an award to be given out or an acknowledgement, I guess.
Yeah, it's nice to see, and it's more than justified. And like you said, the accessibility that he seems to have. I remember when he was here in Australia last year around PAX, and just following his social posts on Twitter, and he was like, I'm looking for this, or the constant spotlighting of all the games that were on the PAX show floor from all the indie developers. Getting that tweet and getting tens or 100,000s of extra sets of eyes on that product can mean life or death to some of these games. So yeah, the indirect, I guess, influence that he's had over the success of probably hundreds upon hundreds of games over the years is really impressive. So yeah, shout out to Shu, and very well deserved, and keep doing what you're doing, because even he's brought a lot of games to my attention that either I haven't given the time of day to or I didn't know about. So he's certainly doing God's work out there. Last little quick hitter. The European regulators have delayed a decision on Microsoft's proposed $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard after the company submitted another round of remedies in its effort to gain approval. The European Commission had previously announced a provisional deadline of the 25th of April of 2023 for its decision on the controversial takeover, but as reported, that has now shifted to the 22nd of May of 2023 as it continues to review Microsoft's latest submissions. There's a ton more back and forth. There's a ton more transcripts out there if you want to get really out in the weeds. But the short version is we are a little over 2 months away from seeing if the European regulators are going to green light or red light this acquisition, and if we can finally put this thing in the rearview mirror and move forward. Because at the moment, Microsoft are continually doing deals with other third-party platforms out there as far as, these 10-year deals in relation to Call of Duty and also cloud-based partnerships. So they are working still with all these other developers or publishers, thinking that this deal is going to go through, and they're signing contracts based off this Activision Blizzard acquisition happening. Yeah. So we're going to find out in the next 2 and a bit months what happens here, and I'm going to be very, very happy to see the end of this, because I'm just about sick of talking about it every other week, Ali.
I agree. It's kind of like a broken record. It feels like we kind of like go back and forth and 2 steps forward, 4 steps back. But it's good to see that like we don't want big companies being able to just buy willy-nilly, and it's good to see that external sources are also being attentive on these matters as well. But I mean, it's more the shitty bickering pettiness that kind of gets attached to it that I'm just kind of done with. So I also have it wasn't a bet, was it? It was a agreement between.
We do have a friendly wager where I say it's going to get done this year, but you say it's going to be kicked to next year.
Yeah, it's going to get pushed. So
we'll find out. We will find out. I just want it done one way or another, please. Let's move on with our lives. But something that's going to be coming out not this year, but next year, which is fantastic, is a game called Dead Static Drive. The stylish and inventive mashup of driving, surviving, and monster unaliving has finally locked in a launch window after many, many, many years of eager players pestering the Melbourne studio Rubin Games for a release date. Thanks in part to the team's monumental efforts to secure funding from Vic Screen's Victorian Production Fund, it's been able to announce that Dead Static Drive will launch in Q3 of 2024. Well, that's certainly still a long ways off. It's exciting and heartening to see the hard work of a local studio recognised and supported by Vic Screen in a way that puts light and respite at the end of a long tunnel. There's a quote here from Lena Van Deventer, who is the creative producer at Rubin Games, saying, "The Vic Screen application process was rigorous and competitive, and we're proud our application was approved by a panel of our peers. It means so much." So this is a game that I initially played at PAX maybe 7 years ago?
Really?
6 years ago? Yeah, it might have been like one of our first collective PAXs we went to.
Wow.
And I played it and I loved it. And I've been very excited for this game. And it's been bubbling along for many a year. But it's awesome to see that we finally have a release window. It's dropping on Xbox and PC in that Q3 2024 window. It's also going to be available day one on Xbox Game Pass, which is great. But yeah, Dead Static Drive coming out Q3 2024. Shout out to Rubin Games and shout out to Victorian Production Fund via Vic Screen, because that helped make this game a reality. Yeah. And it's bringing it to our screens and our hands in a little over, 16 months time, give or take? Sure. But let's go.
Yeah. I mean, stylized, it looks fantastic. I'm not familiar with it. I don't think I got my hands on it, but just looking over some screenshots from the game, it looks great. It looks like it has a really like cool vibe to it, and like a lot of nods to kind of like retrowave kind of styles, as well as some great monster design that I love. We're seeing a lot of like bone and skull attached to physical forms here, so it looks pretty cool. It's actually piqued my interest now.
Yeah, keep that on your radar, Miss Hart, and keep that on your radar, listeners, because Q3 2024 will be able to finally play Dead Static Drive, so very exciting. The next bit of news I've just titled it as Starfield sucks. There's no alien lovemaking. So Starfield, obviously Bethesda's forthcoming space RPG, has been given a restricted rating here in Australia. The game's classification is primarily due to interactive drug use, as well as a strong impact of violence and some nudity. The Australian Classification Board has a particularly low tolerance to drug use in games. The likes of Disco Elysium, DayZ, and RimWorld were all initially banned from sale here in Australia due to themes of drug use. And so too was Bethesda's own Fallout 3 way back in 2008, which had the incentive for drug use toned down. Indeed, Bethesda is no stranger to drugs in its games. The fictional jet occurs frequently in the Fallout series, and it seems Starfield will be no different. Further, while the game contains some nudity, the game does not include any sex, so don't expect any intimate relationships with the game's companions to be shown on screen. Obviously, most recently, Starfield was delayed/confirmed as far as the release date of September the 6th of 2023. But yeah, come September the 6th, there'll be no having sex with interspecies all over the universe, which makes me sad.
I think it's incredibly interesting that Australia has such a strict policy in the classification of these games, and it's not just directly connected into the drug use, but I believe they're very anti-drug use in a positive manner, where your player needs to take a drug to feel better or heal themselves in any kind of way. So I'm assuming if there's drugs and it's a negative effect, then I think they're pretty okay with it because it's sending a message. But yeah, just Australian Classification Board kind of always getting in the way of some games. Is like, although I just previously said it's good to have people interfere when it comes to things, but I just it's I don't know, it's just a little embarrassing come to mind. Like, it's just like why that? Like, why is that the hill that we're dying on? And then obviously there's the no sex on screen. So I'm sorry, Brendan. Maybe that's why it's been delayed. They're taking it out. Australia was too strict, so they're taking it out. Or they're putting it
that's
a matter
the
of
delay.
speaking. A matter of speaking, they're putting it in.
And taking it out and putting it back in.
Putting it back in again. And then having a smoke. But
Space smoke.
I mean, we were talking about like what Bethesda had previously had in their games and why would it be expected. Dating and marriage should be a possibility, though. They shouldn't.
Yeah. Like you have your wives in your various Bethesda RPGs. So yeah, I guess you might be able to marry some person from another alien race. But I guess, like from what a lot of married couples I hear about, there's no sex in the marriage, so it makes sense why it's not in the game. So yeah, it's I guess it's on brand in that regard. But yeah, Starfield coming out 6th of September. I'm excited for that. I'm sad that I won't be able to sleep with all the weird aliens, but you know what? There's plenty of other ways that I can do that in other games. I can go back and
100%.
replay Mass Effect, or just jump on the internet and find plenty of things that'll show me that. But
guaranteed. Yeah,
I completely agree with you regarding the Australian Classification Board, though. Like, we've mentioned them infrequently on this podcast due to their Mr. Mackey South Park mentality of drugs are bad. Like, yeah, I understand that, yeah, you don't want to actively promote drug use in a game to give you some type of buff or benefit because, yeah, that's bad messaging for kids. But then when these games are classified as 15 plus, 18 plus, kids shouldn't be playing the game anyway.
Exactly.
So, it's a catch-22, and yet the things that get thrown on our screen willy-nilly without any issues or pushback constantly is always baffling. Like, Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon's the easiest one you throw about because, there's rape, there's incest, there's murder, there's all types of these horrible, horrible things that no one bats an eyelid about. But lo and behold, you take a bit of jet in Fallout 3 to nullify some type of ailment. that's the devil's work right there. No way, no how. We can't approve that. So, settle down, classification board.
You could see more messed up stuff on the, Australian public TV than you could from having to purchase a game that, like you said, has been, received its rating that is clearly stating that a child should not be playing this, or, anyone that would be, influenced in any kind of way. And growing up, we had SBS, the shit we used to see on SBS, and that's public access. We could watch that any damn time. So,
Even Neighbours.
I mean, Neighbours, yeah. But I guess they were always kind of showing it in a negative sense. It was always a lesson to be learned. But yeah, it always makes Australia just even though we were just talking about how Film Victoria was funding gaming studios, and Australian gaming studios are really starting to get on the forefront of, setting a name for Australian devs. We're taking a step back here by being so far behind on how media is consumed, and we're still in this weird kind of stage where it's like, oh no, video games are only for children, and there's no possible other group that would intake this media that this would be allowed or understood on a different level. So
it is very tone deaf, and it feels like we're sort of in the Stone Ages here, as far as I'm going to do some research on this over the coming days, and I want to see if I can try and find people that are on this Australian classification board and see if it's just a bunch of old
people,
fossils. That's what I want to know.
This is, sorry, I don't know why I'm not really taking a harboring to this, but this also goes in the angle that okay, if you're against this, if you're against the drug using, and it's, maybe they're going some angle where they're saying Australia has a drug problem or something like that, and they don't want that additional influence, then by the same standard, they should be just as strict on gambling in video games, because Australia has a really bad gambling, problem. They also have a really a bad alcohol problem as well. So then they should just be putting the foot down on all of these influential things that are in video games as well. So.
But they won't,
no,
because
of course not.
The government makes too much money off gambling and alcohol.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a whole can of worms right there. That the drugs are bad because the government can't make any money off drugs here in Australia. But alcohol and gambling and cigarettes. Yeah, well, once they legalize marijuana.
Completely off. Sorry, I'm really diverging. So one of my friends over here sent me an article saying that Australia's thinking about making medical mushrooms legal, which I thought was wild, considering weed was still not legal. Medicinal weed, I think is, but wild.
There's no
so
there's
weird.
no generic dispensaries around. You can obviously get a medical certificate, I guess you call it, or
a doctor's,
doctor's approved, whatever the word is. You can have some medicinal marijuana, a small quantity, but it's nowhere near what it is in other parts of the world. It'll change here in Australia in the next 5 years, I think, because the amount of money that the government can then make off this is the big thing. But just the old fossils at the top are no, we can't do that. That's horrible. But here have all this alcohol, all these cigarettes, or all this gambling that ruins families and lives more so than drugs. So, what do we know? What do we know? But I'm going to report back next week and see from my very scattershot research that I'm going to be doing about who is on the Australian Classification Board. And the over-under that I'm going to say 60% of the people on that classification board are just old white dudes will be very high.
I feel like more women. I don't know why. It's just that, drugs are bad. Think of the children. Very Simpsons.
Yeah. We'll find out. We'll report back, listeners. And the last bit of news we wanted to bring to the table today. Publisher Perfect World and developer Black Wings have announced Persona 5 The Phantom X for iOS and Android, a free-to-play game with in-app purchases. Playtests for the new Persona 5 spin-off will start on March the 29th in China. The Phantom X's style and gameplay is exactly the same as in Persona 5, but the game's user experience will be tailored for mobile gamers. Atlas is supervising the game's development also. Persona 5, The Phantom X follows a new group of Phantom Thieves and focuses on the theme of desire. Like in Persona 5, the protagonist in the Phantom X can participate in classes during the school day and do activities like watching movies and playing baseball. After school, the new Phantom Thieves can infiltrate the metaverse, and the accompanying palaces. In many respects, it looks basically the same as the original game, but with a handful of new characters. Whereas Persona 5's mascot was the black cat Morgana, the Phantom X's animal mascot is an owl who wields dual tonfas as its weapon of choice. There are also some familiar characters such as Igor, as well as what it looks to be a brand new attendant in the Velvet Room. There are also what appears to be 2 female Phantom Thieves, one wielding a crossbow and the other a rifle. No official release date has been announced for Persona 5 Phantom X as of yet. But yeah, the playtesting shall commence on March the 29th in China, and then it will no doubt ripple across the rest of the world. But yeah, Persona 5, the Phantom X, getting that Persona 5 mobile experience. You in, you out, what you feeling?
Well, as the person who said that their New Year's resolution was to play the Persona game finally, I was like, oh, do I get an easy way out in playing a mobile version? But no, I'll still play like the actual original like Persona 5. But I was so interested in this because like my brain kind of said like, can a mobile actually handle a game of this like quality? And like based on the trailer that they've already released for it, it looks good. Like it looks like just like Persona 5, and I think it could be really fun. Making it free is an interesting choice, and then in-game purchases, I would be curious to see what they are. I don't know, maybe it'll be like styling, like gifts or that sort of stuff. But I mean, it'll have, I'm assuming, the same kind of soundtrack, which was incredible, and the art style is awesome. So yeah, it sounds pretty good for a mobile game.
It intrigues me. I enjoy Persona. I enjoyed Persona 5 quite a bit. It is worrying that the game is free, so I'm wondering how many barriers to entry they're going to be constantly throwing up, whether it be not only just in-game advertisements, but also like, oh, sorry, in order to play this next chapter or this next mission, pay up, or you need to, buy gems or whatever their currency is going to be.
Chapter purchases, yeah.
Because they ain't doing this just for the sake of people love Persona, so let's make a game and the world will be happy. They're like, people love Persona, so let's get every dollar out of these people we can. So I'm scared that it's going to be a little predatory, but I'm keen. I'm keen. Like I all I play on my phone is Marvel Snap, which I still adore. It's great. Collector score nearly 3,200 if anyone's playing along at home. But yeah, I'm curious to give it a go, and if I could play this from the comfort of my bed or something like that, and maybe chuck the phone onto the backbone and play a little bit of Persona 5, the Phantom X before bed, cool. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It certainly looks, like you said, it looks impressive from the trailer. Like the old mobile phone seems to have enough grunt to make this game look and play and feel good. But we'll wait to see what happens when it actually gets officially released, I guess sometime in the back half of 2023.
Yeah, I'll have to see.
Yeah, but shout out also to the owl. I'm a sucker for owls in games or just in general. I love owls, so it's nice to see.
They're quite cute.
Yeah, very cute, and he's rocking dual tonfas. They're great weapons. More games need to utilize the old tonfa sticks. So yeah, it's awesome to see. But let's shift gears into this
Tweet of the week.
And this tweet comes via way of @folly_studio. That is FOLLY_studio. So this is coming from the fantastic developers known as Studio Folly. And they say, we have fantastic news. Gubbins is available on the iOS App Store in Australia and New Zealand right now, in all caps. For now, there is no monetization, no ads, and no funny business for your unbridled entertainment. Make some words, tell your pals. So if you search Gubbins, which is Gubbins, it's a word-based game. It is super cute, super fun, and it's free. So get that in your gullet as soon as you can. So shout out to Studio Folly for confirming their game is available on iOS here in the AU and NZ markets. Not sure if it's available on the US or the broader global app stores at the moment, but anyone listening from here in ANZ, do yourselves a favor and download Gubbins because it is a ton of goddamn fun.
It looks absolutely adorable. The art style kind of reminds me of Yellow Submarine, like the Beatles kind of, like that kind of era, that kind of like wackiness and art style. It's very cute. I also love the concept of it being like this like weird and wacky word game as well. So awesome news for Studio Foley.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, that's available right now. But if once you're done playing a little bit of Gubbins, don't worry, because we have you covered.
New releases and events.
All right, as far as new things coming to the small screen via an assortment of streamers, Louis Theroux Forbidden America Season 2 is coming out this week, as well as Season 1, of Louis Theroux Forbidden America. Season 2 of Yellow Jackets drops this week, which I am hyped as hell for. Another one I want to shout out personally, Manfire Food Season 9 is coming out. I get so hungry watching that show or that reality cooking show all the time. Things coming to the big screen. Obviously, John Wick Chapter 4 making its way to cinemas this week, currently holding a score of 77 on Metacritic. But there has been some 10s getting thrown around. I saw IGN dropping a hard 10 on this one this week, as well as a 10 on Resident Evil 4 remake, which I'm excited for. But they've said that this is like the best John Wick movie to date in the franchise. So I'm very excited to check out Chapter 4 this week. As far as games coming out, we've got Remnant from the Ashes, Tchia, Have a Nice Death, 8-Layer Riser 3, Alchemist of the End, and The Secret Key. Holy guacamole, that is a game title right there. 8-Layer Riser 3, Alchemist of the End, and The Secret Key. We've also got Storyteller, EA Sports, PGA Tour, and as I just mentioned, Resident Evil 4 Remake, all coming out this coming week. I cannot wait to talk in detail and in depth about Resident Evil 4 on episode 320 of THG. But Miss Hart, anything there on the small or big screen or games that you are especially excited about?
I've got too many. Like I don't know if I'm going to get my hands on Resident Evil, but it'll probably be played in this household. But between season passes of Destiny and Fortnite, it's a balancing act. It really is.
Not enough hours in the day sometimes, Miss Hart.
Really
Not enough
isn't.
hours in the day. Yeah, but no, I'm very, very excited to watch John Wick. I'm very excited to watch Yellow Jackets and also work my way through Resident Evil 4 Remake because, the reviews warm my heart very, very much on that game. But Miss Hart, that brings us to the official end of THG 319. Anything else you wanted to shout out or mention before we got out of here for another week?
Yeah, I just want to put out a message on the passing of Lance Reddick. It's just go out there and tell people that do things that you love and appreciate. Take a moment just to let them know that you love what they do. Don't do it to expect anything out of it or any kind of acknowledgement, but just putting it out there could really like brighten someone's day, and you won't know the next time you'd be able to do it. So just share the love, let people out there you know that you love them, and take the time to, show some appreciation and put some kindness into the world.
Perfectly agree and perfectly said because, life's short. Life's unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen, let alone tomorrow, but later this afternoon. So, yeah, let the ones that you love and care about know that you love and care about them. So, 8-Bit Nation, it's time for us to get out of here again. So we're going to say goodbye for now. But until next time, much love.
And stay hungry.
You've been listening to The Hungry Gamers, one of many gaming and geek culture related podcasts from the 8-Bit Collective over on 8bit.net. Check out more episodes on your podcast service of choice. And while you're there, please be sure to rate and subscribe. Until next time, boys and girls, stay hungry.